Hello and welcome back to Small Things Brought Together. This is the ongoing series where we explore all the small ways that we can bring together our creative life. So, if you've been following along for some time, we've been using the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra as a way of exploring the steps we can take to cultivate our creative life. And so we've talked about having a daily discipline, we've talked about noticing our patterns of thought, and um, we've talked a bit about letting go of results in the sense of needing to judge our work as good or bad according to some arbitrary system of judging. And most recently, we've been talking about this word, which in Sanskrit is Shraddha. Shraddha is sometimes translated as trust or faith or conviction. So I thought today it would be fun to talk about failure or what happens when you have a bad day. Whether it's just your 15 minutes of daily drawing or you're somebody who works in a studio on a regular basis, and what happens during that time when everything you touch turns to shit. It happens. And just like there are days when we can't make a wrong mark, there are days when we can't make a right mark, and everything we touch really just gets worse. So what do you do? What do you do then? Because it's true, we don't want to enter the studio or sit down at our desk to draw with a judging mind, and yet there is such a thing as a bad drawing. So what about that? And I guess if there's something I've learned from my seated meditation practice, is that it's really, I do know when I sit down to meditate that there are times when my mind is not quiet. A lot of times, and I'm doing all the things that, we are taught not to do. Making lists, solving problems, thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, and sometimes that's all that happens, even though I'm sitting on my cushion. And my first impulse, of course, is to judge that as wrong, therefore bad, or failure. And as I have sat more and more and more, I'm not so sure about that anymore. It's not that I don't wish that every time I sat down to meditate, my mind just settled and I was able to really just experience that beautiful quiet that can happen. But the truth is that's not how it goes. But there's another truth too, which is I don't know what that so-called bad period of sitting is doing. And I don't know. So to label it bad could be incorrect. And I've been thinking about too how, when I have done intensive meditation retreats, I want to say probably every single time when I've had a major shift in my practice, the time right before that major shift, I was a wreck. My mind was on full tilt. And then all it took was one breath and one moment, and suddenly everything changed. So who am I to say what all that sort of crazy is if my intention is to sit and I actually do it and I'm there sincerely. Kind of the rest of it is not up to me. And that's sort of that third piece of what we've been talking about, the Ishvara Pranidhana, and this idea of Shraddha. So the idea of Shraddha is like, why do I come back and sit again the next day when the day before, quote unquote, sucked? so when we bring this to our artistic or creative life, it's the same thing. When we have a really shitty day in the studio, why do we come back the next day? And I'd like to say it's because we don't know. We don't know, on those days when every mark just is basically ruining everything you've done. That's part of it too. And it's important. It's not the fun part. It's not the part that's going to have people patting us on the back necessarily, but it's part of the process. And I've been having this very interesting, somewhat ongoing conversation with my main yoga teacher, and to whom I owe a great debt of gratitude for pretty much everything I know about yoga. And so he was saying that a lot of people in the yoga community think of samadhi which is this kind of single pointedness of mind, as the goal of yoga. And I was like, I don't really see it that way. And then we were talking about in the sutra that we're looking at, the Shraddha Sutra, it says samadhi prajna. Samadhi prajna. So it's Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. So it's the insights that come from samadhi that help cultivate our sense of trust and faith, conviction. And so then it was like, well, is the prajna, the insight, is that the goal? And at first I was like, yeah, that's the goal. We want insight. And then as we went away and came back, I was like, I'm actually not even sure it's the insight is the goal. I think the goal is practice. The goal is sit on the cushion. The goal the beautiful artwork that you make? Is the goal this quote unquote successful art you make? The good art you make? Is the goal the pieces that advance your ideas about what you're making? Is that the goal? Or is the goal the making? Is the goal just make your art? So I'm leaning in that second direction. So I thought I would give you an assignment this time. I know I haven't done that in a while, so here's our new assignment. This is actually something that was an assignment when I went to art school many, many years ago. And I have thought about it so many times since, and I think it's fun and really revealing. And so here it is. I want you to make your idea of the worst painting. So what is your idea of like a really bad painting? And I want you to make it. What I often find is I don't just have one, I have several. so feel free to make more than one. And then just notice, so here we're coming back to the svadhyaya, the self-reflection, self-knowledge. Just notice, so what is it exactly that you in your mind label as bad or cliche or whatever? And then how does it feel to make it? Alrighty. So if you do the assignment, I would love to see some results. So you're welcome to, I'll put a post up on the Patreon page, and you could put some images up there in the comments. You can also comment on YouTube. Let me know how it's going. Just a word about the Patreon page. So I'm very grateful for my generous patrons. For even just $1 a month, you help support this series, which benefits many, many more. I'm happy to offer it for free to all. So I'm grateful for your support. Even $1 a month makes a big difference. If you are capable to support at the $10 a month level, you will receive an original art postcard mailed to you every month and made just for you. And there's even other options as well. So I hope you're enjoying this January, no matter what hemisphere you find yourself in. And I will see you next month.